The astronomers are assembled in a large hall embellished with instruments. The president and members of the committee enter. Everybody takes his seat. Entrance of 6 manservants carrying the telescopes of the astronomers. The president takes his chair and explains to the members his plan for a trip to the moon. The scheme is approved by many, but one member violently opposes, saying, After some argument, the president throws his papers and books at his head. Upon order being restored, the trip proposed by the president is voted by acclamation. The manservant bring traveling suits. Président Barbon-Fouilly selects 5 colleagues to accompany him: Nostradamus, Alcofribas, Omega, Micromegas, and Parafaragamus. They enter the interior of a workshop where smiths, mechanics, weighers, carpenters, upholsterers, etc. are working hard at the completion of the machine. Micromegas accidentally falls into a tub of nitric acid. A workman informs the astronomers that if they would ascend to the roof, they will witness a splendid spectacle, the casting of the gun. Against the horizon, the chimneys are seen belching forth volumes of smoke. Suddenly, the flag is hoisted. At the signal, a mass of molten steel is directed from each furnace into the mold for the gun. The mold pours forth flames and vapor. On the top of the roofs of the town, pompous preparations have been made. The shell is in position ready to receive the travelers. These arrive. Respond to the acclamation of the crowd. And finally, enter the shell. A marine closes the breach through which they have passed. A number of gunners are now pushing the shell up and incline into the mouth of the gun. The cannon is loaded. The breech is closed. Everyone is waiting anxiously for the signal which starts the shell on its voyage. An officer gives the signal. The gun is fired, and the shell disappears into space. The shell coming closer every minute, the moon magnifies rapidly until finally it attains colossal dimensions. Suddenly, the shell pierces the eye of the moon. The shell comes down with a crash. The astronomers get out and are delighted at the landscape, which is new to them. Against the horizon, the Earth is rising slowly into space, illuminating the picture with a fantastic light. The astronomers see craters everywhere. Just as they are about to explore, an explosion throws the unfortunate men violently in all directions. The astronomers show sign of fatigue after the rough trip they have just had. They stretch themselves out on the ground and go to sleep. Seven gigantic stars, representing the Great Bear, appear slowly. And out of the stars come faces of women who seem annoyed at the presence of these intruders in the moon. Then, the stars are replaced by a lovely vision of Phoebus on the crescent, of Saturn in his globe, and of charming young girls holding up a star. They decide to punish the terrestrials in an exemplary manner. By order of Phoebus, snow is falling from all quarters, covering the ground with its white coat. The cold becomes unbearable, so the unfortunate voyagers wake up half frozen. They decide, without hesitation and in spite of the danger, to descend into the interior of a great crater in which they disappear one by one whilst the snowstorm is still raging. The astronomers arrive into the interior of a most curious grotto filled with enormous mushrooms of every kind. One of them opens his umbrella to compare its size with a mushroom, but the umbrella suddenly takes root and, transforming itself into a mushroom, starts growing, attaining gigantic proportions. The astronomers suddenly notice strange beings coming out from underneath the mushrooms while making singular contortions. These are the Selenites, or inhabitants of the moon. A fantastical being rushes on an astronomer who defends himself, and with a stroke of his umbrella, the Selenites burst in 2,000 pieces. But the Selenites are arriving in numbers. The astronomers are captured, bound, and taken to the palace of the king of the Selenites. On a splendid throne surrounded by living stars, the Selenite king is seated. President Barbanfouilly makes a dash for the king of the Selenites and, lifting him like a feather, throws him violently on the ground. The astronomers run away in the midst of the general disorder. The Selenite army is pursuing them. The astronomers run at full speed, turning around each time they are pressed too closely and reducing the fragile beings to dust. At last, the astronomers have found the shell and quickly shut themselves in the interior. Thanks to the advance they have succeeded in getting over their adversaries, only one, the president, has been left behind. He rushes to the rope, which hangs from the point of the shell, and letting himself slide down the rope, he gives it an impetus which causes the shell to fall off the edge of the moon. The shell falls with sickening rapidity. The sea appears. The shell balances and, thanks to the hermetically sealed air in its interior, rises slowly to the surface. The shell is picked up by a steamer which tows it to port. The mayor welcomes the astronomers with a speech, and a general ovation awaits their happy return.